10:04. Happy Monday morning, everybody. Yes, here's the wave.
How was your weekend?
Solid. I worked on Saturday night.
Yes.
I filled in, and I was expecting to go to Lolla.
Sure.
They sent me to a different story, which was equally fantastic. We had a local group of girls, 14 and 15-year-olds, make it all the way to the World Series championship game in Junior League softball.
Okay.
It was a really great run. They
Where
came
did you
up
go?
just
Where were
short
they at?
against Texas. So they played the game in Kirkland, Washington. The watch party is what I covered on Saturday, and they had the watch party down at 115 Bourbon Street in Marionette Park, which is amazing for a watch party because they can fit like 500 people in there, and it was packed.
Oh, I love that.
Huge congrats to the squad down in Evergreen Park. What an historic run for the young ladies down there, and super inspiring. We talked to a bunch of younger players on that team, the 12 and under, the 10 and under, and they were like, I want to be them one day. It was so inspiring to see.
Sweet.
Yes, indeed. How was yours?
It was really good.
Good.
I took like a 2-hour nap with the baby yesterday.
Oh, that's soothing.
I feel like I'm still adjusting back to like normal schedule because I was up so late last week for my shift. So I was kind of sleepy, but it was a great weekend. And I know school is starting soon for all these kids.
Yeah.
I just, that last minute summer checklist, I still have a couple things got to nail down.
Yes, indeed. 3 or 4 more weekends to go before the school year starts. And
We've got one weekend. Our kids start next week.
They do?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Yeah,
Is
we're
that
like
early?
late. That is early. We're late August in my district.
That's how it should be.
Exactly. We got a lot to get to over the next hour. Caitlin, we made this connection a few weeks ago. We are both middle kids. The middle child syndrome. Okay, we have a very interesting guest and her daughter coming up. Middle kids. Okay, a new children's book shining the spotlight on the sibling who often feels overlooked. And we're wrapping up the show by talking to author Lori Orlinsky and her daughter Ellie. And Ellie is the star of the book.
I feel like you were a true middle kid, though. I was kind of like a half middle kid because I'm the only girl.
Oh, so you got the
I got
you got some spotlight.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was lost in the mix.
You for sure were
lost.
But
here's the good thing about it.
Yeah.
We can talk about this with the author. Is that I feel like my need for attention and validation way less than my older brother and sister. They need a ton.
We're gonna cut this clip and send it to them.
They need eyeballs on them. They need, I've never gotten them, so that
You're good.
I'm very Buddhist about it now.
But you're a news anchor.
I know. Go do
so
the
you
math
get a lot
on
of
that one.
attention. I don't know. We need to talk to a therapist.
Yeah, we do. And also coming up for beer nerds, beer snobs, I might
love
say.
Beer.
There is a very anticipated beer release coming out. This is one of those beers. We're talking about Goose Island's Bourbon County Stout. Now, I don't know if you remember us covering this story from years past, but there are literally lines out the door to get their hands on this product because it only comes out, I believe, once a year. We're going to be speaking with the president of Goose Island, Todd, about this. Yes.
That's a big get.
And here's the deal. This thing is such a hype fest that they have to limit. I think you can only buy like 1 6-pack.
And it's a beer, so it's Bourbon County
Or it might be even one bottle,
stout.
Honestly. It's an oversized bottle.
So
we got to get that.
Stout.
This year, I think they're making, it's a stout.
Okay.
So this year, I think they're actually they have a different format. I think they're making different, smaller sized bottles, but
Cute.
I've covered this in the past. There's a lot of hype. So we're going to talk
delicious?
It is
so
delish.
Good? It's so good.
Yeah, it's like a meal. It's like a meal.
Oh, it's like a thick beer, yeah.
And before we get to that, though, you might have heard this past week not the diagnosis itself, but Justin Timberlake publicizing the fact that he is living with Lyme disease. And do you know anything about Lyme disease?
Kind of.
That you get it from ticks.
We're gonna dive deep with a doctor. Yeah, you get it from ticks, and I guess it could be a really debilitating disease.
Extremely. I know 2 people in my life, in my sphere of friends,
Yeah.
who both live with Lyme disease, and it has taken them off the court, like onto the sidelines in life, work,
Yes.
100%,
On the couch.
years. Exactly.
Yeah.
Brain fog, all kinds of other symptoms, and it has been heartbreaking to see unfold. And both of them, suffered from a tick bite. It was a tick bite and the problem is if it's caught early, it can be managed. But if you don't have it, my understanding is if you don't get it diagnosed and treated pretty early on, it can be completely debilitating. Actually, on that note, let's bring in Dr. Ebony Cornish. Do we have her
there
via
she
Zoom?
is.
Hi, Dr. Cornish.
Good morning.
Good
How
morning.
are you?
We're doing good. Where are you joining us from this morning, Dr. Cornish?
So right now I'm joining you from Reston, Virginia, which is outside of Washington, D.C.
Thank you
I'm from
so
the
much.
Amen
So
clinics there.
it's a little later there. Thank you so much for joining us. Dr. Cornish is the medical director at Amen Clinics and a member of the executive board for the International Lyme and Associated Diseases Society. All right, Dr. Cornish, let's just start off by having you run us through kind of the baseline cliff notes of this disease. The extent of our knowledge is it comes from tick bites. If it's untreated and undiagnosed for a while, it can become very debilitating. Can you kind of give us more details on exactly what Lyme disease does and how it affects the body?
All right, so it is transmitted by a deer tick traditionally, but we also have research that it can also be transmitted by fleas as well. And there is an infection called Bartonella, which is Lyme disease co-infection that can be transmitted by a cat scratch. So it's an epidemic. You know, we have hundreds of thousands of patients being misdiagnosed annually. And you alluded to the fact that if it's caught early, you can have a positive response to treatment. But the problem is, majority of patients, because we have controversy with standard testing, and the research shows that the test through LabCorp and Quest may actually miss about 40% of positive cases, that patients then transition to this, what we call a chronic Lyme disease, which is when it compromises your immune system, can compromise your brain, and like you said, brain fog, and it can be as severe as things like multiple sclerosis, ALS that I've seen in my office before, and debilitating. It can cross over from mom to fetus as well. And I like to look at it as our invisible illness, because patients with tick-borne diseases can look completely normal. They may not even have a rash, and their doctors might dismiss them. And unfortunately, that is what leads to that transition to more of a chronic, stealth, debilitating illness.
So you said that it could be missed. So in my, what I've learned about Lyme disease, now I know, they don't always cause a red circle around the tick bite. So sometimes you don't have the rash. And then my second part of this question is, you get a blood test done, how are they missing it? Is it just you don't have enough of it in your body to be detected as positive?
So a lot of people, less than 40% of patients recall having that traditional bullseye tick bite or rash.
Okay.
It can appear differently in different skin tones and melanin patients, but at the same time, it's not common. The majority of my patients, because I treat at Amen Clinic chronic patients, don't even recall having a tick bite or a rash at all. And at the same time, when we talk about testing, now we have advocates in my organization, ILADS, which is International Lyme and Associated Diseases Society. And it's 600 doctors from all around the world that are treating this complex chronic illness. And we know that the standard testing that we have with LabCorp and Quest, it misses about 60% of actual cases because it was initially created just for, screening purposes. But as we've done more research, we've seen that there's a lot of discrepancy. And as a result, not because it's not enough in your system, it's because tick-borne diseases can lower your immune system. And those tests require a very strong and robust immune response. That's why they call them immune testing, for it to be positive. And so the majority of patients who present to my office have already had a compromised immune system, have been misdiagnosed or dismissed from their office that, follow standard testing strategies, and that's what leads to the poor outcomes.
Okay, so what, if anything, needs to change here, Dr. Cornish? Does there need to be new testing protocol? Because 40% only, and 60% of folks who are living with Lyme, it's undetected even when there's a direct screening for it. This is a major problem.
Everything needs to be done. we need to have legislation so that tick-borne disease testing and more comprehensive FDA approved testing that's a little more sensitive, maybe 90 to 95% sensitive for detecting tick-borne diseases are available and covered by insurance. We need to have more awareness. I know in my state in Virginia, we have legislation that was passed 6 years ago that was led by an organization, NatCap Lyme, whereby if a patient comes to a physician's office in the state of Virginia and they have a negative Lyme test, their doctor legally cannot tell them that they do not have Lyme disease because there are discrepancies there. This is legislation. So this tells you how big of a problem that this is. There needs to be more funding for research in this disease complex so that we can lead to better treatment options and earlier detection. And there needs to be more training of doctors. I'm actually a trained physician and a fellow with ILAD, so I teach doctors all around the world how to treat and detect this illness because there are so many controversies. You know, even in the state of Illinois, I have tons of patients who are misdiagnosed because Lyme doesn't exist, quote unquote, in Illinois. I have patients from around the world, South Africa, Europe, that are misdiagnosed, from the South, because it's everywhere. People need to have more awareness, and that's why I like that patients and, you know, celebrities are now coming out and sharing their story because people will see that they're nebulous symptoms that can be, you know, just fatigue, right? And you need to get some doctor that's looking deeply at your brain so that you know what's happening and that this disorder is treated.
That's what I was going to ask you is what are the symptoms that people might be having that might be Lyme disease? Maybe someone at home that's watching this, what is like is there like a five different things, maybe off the top of your head, different symptoms that are common with Lyme disease because maybe they didn't know that they got bit by a tick, or like you said, it could be transferred by fleas. What are symptoms that people wouldn't really necessarily connect to Lyme disease that might be Lyme disease?
So I tell people to put Lyme disease on their differential diagnosis. Let's start with the basics. If you're walking around with fatigue or maybe some migrating joint pain, headache, some forgetfulness, those could be some nebulous symptoms that need to be evaluated and not be ignored. And that could be initial presentations of tick-borne diseases. But then if you go a little further, let's say you're having depression or anxiety or ADHD or other neuropsychiatric symptoms that aren't responding to medication, we know that it's published that tick-borne diseases like Lyme disease can cause neuropsychiatric symptoms. And that's what I specialize at here at Amen Clinics, where we look at that root cause of mental illness as brain health. And not only that, let's say you have new onset autoimmune disorders, or you might, like I said earlier, have things like multiple sclerosis, ALS, and people disorders where they're not giving you those answers, fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue. You need to get a workup because if it is treated, patients get better and it's so rewarding. But if it's missed, it can have very devastating long-term outcomes.
There are two people, Dr. Cornish, in my life who I think missed the window, and I think they would say this too, missed the early detection window, and they've been, one of my friends has been mostly bedridden for I mean, I'm not exaggerating, years now. I follow her on social media. Once someone is diagnosed, what is the time frame in order, that window to get treatment, and what are the treatment options?
You need to get a treatment immediately because you can start having, unfortunately, long-term symptoms if you don't get treated within the first 30 days or less. And there are numerous treatment options. We have guidelines that, you know, traditionally when I was in med school, they told me 1 dose of doxycycline was all a person needed, or 2 weeks. But now we have other guidelines through ILADs which show that we treat clinically until a person is better. Now, that doesn't mean that you need to be treated with years of antibiotics or treatment, but you do need to have a good approach at not only suppressing this infection, but also boosting your immune system. So may that be herbal, may that be antibiotics, may that also simultaneously include lifestyle, dietary, and immune support so that we can rebuild your body. And I mean, your story is so common of your friend, people who are bedbound and doctors just misdiagnose them as psych or just say it's all in your head. You know, like it can be treatment options, and that's why doctors who are trained on treating vector-borne diseases is where people need to go before they take subtherapeutic treatment and they end up with those severe debilitating symptoms that you're reporting from your friend.
Dr. Cornish, we're getting the wrap from our producers in terms of time, but practically speaking, if parents are watching this right now, they've got kids that run around in the grass, in the woods, what do they really need to know? And obviously for us too, what do we need to know to protect ourselves?
Or how likely is it that we're going to get Lyme disease from ticks? That's my question.
Oh, it's very likely, and it's
Oh.
very common,
Oh.
very common. You need to make sure you're using your tick repellent, may that be DEET, pyramid, or other kind of natural forms of treatment, wearing those long socks, doing your due diligence when your kids are outside of doing tick checks, no matter where you live, because it's always that controversy. Oh, Lyme is just in rural areas. It's all around the country. They just had an article in the Washington Post saying how it's present in Washington, D.C. Well, it's always been present there. So check for ticks, check for different changes in symptoms that a patient may have overnight. If you have flu-like symptoms in the summer, that's not appropriate. You need to make sure you're looking into vector-borne diseases and treat your lawn, because that's huge. Tick repellents for your lawn and your animals as well, especially dogs and other pets that are outdoors. So it's all about prevention and checking.
Really good info. All right, Dr. Ebony Cornish, thank you so much for your time. Really, really appreciate it.
Good info.
And thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, it was our pleasure. All right, we're gonna take a quick break here, but when we come back, we are gonna talk with the president of the Goose Island Beer Company about one of the most anticipated beer drops of the entire year. Stay with us.
Welcome back, 1024. It is one of the most anticipated beer drops of the whole year, and it's not pumpkin spice. We're talking about Goose Island's iconic Bourbon County Stout. From beer nerds to casual sippers, this lineup always creates a buzz. So joining us, we're so lucky, the president of Goose Island Beer, Todd Osmond. Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Hey, Todd.
You're giving us the scoop on this fancy Bourbon County phenomena. What's the story?
I am. So a little bit past those pumpkin spice beers. We're talking about a Black Friday release. So every July we announce our lineup for Bourbon County Stout, which, like I said, comes out on Black Friday. And this is a big anticipated time of year, just when we let people know what the beers are going to be.
Okay, so what can you tell us at this point?
So I can tell you what all the beers are. So I'll start with Bourbon County Stout. So it's something Chicagoans can be very proud of. So 10,000 craft breweries in America now, and breweries all over the world. You'd be hard pressed to find one that doesn't do barrel aging. You can see these barrels in my background here that have beer in them that are aging. So beer has been aged, or not aged, but beer has been served, conditioned in wood for a long time before stainless steel. But we really invented this whole style of beer here at Goose Island in 1992. So you can say this is a true Chicago innovation.
Yes.
And we use the wood as an ingredient. So with that, we use different barrels, different whiskeys, and different ingredients that go into the lineup.
So they're different flavors. Is this the lineup? They're different kinds of beers? Sorry, I'm not familiar.
They are. So we have Bourbon County Stout, which is the original. It's an imperial stout aged in bourbon barrels. So Heaven Hill, Buffalo Trace, Wild Turkey, and Four Roses barrels. And we get a lot of flavor from those barrels. We blend them together.
Yeah.
Then we take that original beer and we add different ingredients that are inspired by either cocktails or desserts, or this year it is 3 different desserts. So baklava for the Chicago only one, which has if you think honeycomb, cinnamon, we've got nuts in there. Then the other one, we have chocolate praline. I'm sure you've had a chocolate praline, a little chocolate candy dessert. So with that, we have roasted chocolate malts, cocoa nibs. We have hazelnuts, different nuts in there. Yeah. And then finally, one of my favorite desserts, a cherries jubilee.
Wow.
So cherry, as the name says, and the unique thing about this is it's finished in cognac barrels. Oh. So we get a little bit more sweetness to it.
Oh, cherry is my literal favorite flavor.
These are very, so they drop on Black Friday. These are very
gifts.
Fall. They're good gifts. Todd, will you run us through kind of a little bit of, we're not scientists or brewers or anything, but like the basics about how long the product is aged in those barrels, and a little bit about the process and how the flavor gets transferred.
Sure. So the first year we made this, like I said, 1992, Greg Hall, our brewmaster, he was at a beer, bourbon, and cigar dinner, and sitting next to him was Booker No, who was the 6th generation master distiller of Jim Beam. Famous for Booker's. I'm sure everyone's heard of Booker's bourbon. But he knowing that bourbon barrels are single use, for 1,000th batch of beer, we wanted to do something special. So we asked him for some barrels. And sure enough, he sent us some barrels after they emptied the bourbon from them. And we weren't sure what kind of flavor we would get out of it or how long it would take. So we aged it for 100 days. Now we've learned, all these years later, that about 18 months in the barrel. And I know we're still here. We're still here in the summer in Chicago. We had a beautiful Lollapalooza weekend. But you won't hear this often. Chicago has the best weather for making this type of beer. So this warehouse behind me is not temperature controlled. So we like to see extreme temperatures, whether it's very hot or very cold. And why is that? We want the wood to expand and contract so that the beer goes into the wood and pulls out that bourbon and those, if you drink wine, you're familiar with the term tannin. You get tannins from the wood. You get vanillins. Vanillins are what create that vanilla flavor in the wood. So we really Chicago's weather is conducive to it. We've evolved from that 100-day first batch to now 18 months, a year to 18 months in the barrel, and take advantage of those temperature swings.
So I have two questions. The first is kind of off of this question that Anthony just asked you on how, this is just a curious thing, how does the beer not seep through the cracks in the woods? Because I know they're different slats put together. And then my other question was the alcohol content. Are these higher than your typical beers?
Yes, so I love the curiosity around beer. Never apologize for that. It's wonderful. I love romanticizing beer, but it is pretty wild. The coopers that have been making barrels have been making them for 1,000 years, and these barrels don't have glue that are holding the staves together or anything. It's just a natural process that has been developed over the years, that the beer and the bourbon and wine, whatever may be in oak barrels, does stay secure in there. Amazing. We do have leaks from time to time, as you would expect with the wood expanding and contracting, but it's quite a simple process that has been around for hundreds of years. That it has been perfected, and it's just a hands-on skill that has been passed from generation to generation.
That is
I forget, what was the second part? Oh, the alcohol.
Oh, the alcohol, the ABV.
Yes, if you will.
Yes, the ABV, the alcohol content. So these are higher alcohol beers. So most beer sits between 4 and 5%. Your traditional lager, these are sitting around 14%.
Whoa!
So think about,
that's like wine.
One bottle will do many of us in.
Exactly, and that's why we do serve it in 16.9 ounce bottles. This is something that's meant to be savored, shared with friends. But something new this year, we are putting Bourbon County Stout Original in 10 ounce bottles. So if you have a snifter, you can pour it for yourself on any old Tuesday night or whatever it may be. It doesn't necessarily need to be shared with friends. But yeah, we're aware of that higher alcohol content, and it is meant to be savored. Enjoy the depth and the layers of this beer, and really give it a good smell, and just enjoy what you're drinking.
Okay.
Let's talk about the hype around this release. I used to work with our old sportscaster, great guy, Siafa Lewis.
Yeah.
His name from NBC, and he would be. I just remember he would be there. I want to say he'd be like waiting in line on Black Friday. Does that ring? This has been a while since I worked with him, but this is one of those like doorbuster kind of situations. Tell us about the crowds and the hype around the release each year.
It is. So, and I'll tie this back to a Fox 32 story for you. So the first time we released it on Black Friday, we almost did it as a joke. We had a special Bourbon County Stout Rare that used Pappy Van Winkle barrels to age the beer. And we really wanted to make a big release out of it. We knew that people would be excited for it. And that's when all the news stories showed every year people standing in line to buy TVs or electronics that were on sale. We said, we think that, this beer is special enough that people would stand in line for beer. And I'll never forget, one of your reporters went around town and he told us this after the fact, interviewing people, would you stand in line for a beer? Would you pay $15 for a bottle of beer? Expecting the story to be, no way, that's crazy. And people really said it must be a good beer. Yeah, I'd stand in line for some high quality product, and I would pay for something. It must be great. So we didn't know that would happen. We were curious too if people would stand in line, and it really started this whole culture of people gathering and sharing stories while they were standing in line, and just wanted to be the first to get it. So that Black Friday release really started this line culture of beer releases.
And is there
so the hype is there.
I was going to ask if people can buy your hat. I see that's specific for the Bourbon County. It's super cute. Can people buy your clothing, your hat, merch?
Yeah. So I know I'm hearing a lot of people say it's the end of summer as kids are getting ready to go back to school, but we have a brew pub right next to the salt shed that's on the Chicago River. Yep. I think, as all Chicagoans know, we have a good 2 months left of true summer. So come out to our beer garden on the river, enjoy it. You can buy the hat there. You can buy this jacket there. And we also have a tap room at our brewery, which is at Fulton and Wood in Westtown. right by the United Center. So
It's a really cool space.
I will send you a hat, but everyone else can come and buy one.
Very, very good. This is awesome. All right, so we're going to gear up for Black Friday. Real quick before we let you go, Todd, there are limits on how many beers that people can buy that day, right? Because that's how in demand it is. Am I right?
Yeah, so it's at select stores. Certain stores put a limit on how much you can buy. They don't want the first person in line buying them out of inventory.
Right.
So you can get, Denny's is very good about putting the full lineup together. You can buy the full lineup in one box in one fell swoop. But these beers are all over the world now and all over the U.S. So I know people have their favorite bottle shops or favorite liquor stores that they have relationships with the managers that they like to have it put aside for them, ready to go on Black Friday.
People get really into it. All right, Todd Osmond with Goose Island. Thank you very much for enlightening us this morning. We appreciate it, sir.
All right, see you in a couple months.
Yes,
all right.
you know Dane Placco is going to be out there.
I hope so.
You know he's going to be out there.
Tasting it.
Yeah, he's
bringing it back.
Dane Placco, for those who are unfamiliar, he is our beer beat reporter.
Is he? I didn't know that.
You did not know? Oh
I
my gosh.
didn't know that. I know he was our Cubs reporter.
He's our Cubs reporter, but he's
I want to be the beat beer reporter.
You should go out. You should shadow him for a couple of these stories. I bet if you compiled all of Dane's
beer stories,
you could get like a 2-hour documentary.
I'm into it.
No exaggeration.
Love.
All right. As two middle kids, we are super excited about this next segment. Right after the break, we're going to meet Lori Orlinsky and her daughter Ellie. There is a new book out in anticipation of National Middle Child Day, which is August 12th. It's a children's book shining a light on the lovable middle kid. That is when we come back.
All right, 10:38, we have Lori and Ellie Orlinsky talking about middle children often stuck between overachieving oldest and the baby of the family. So we kind of get mixed in between. We're not in the spotlight. All three of us are middle kiddos here, so we can all bond over this.
Lori, are you a middle kid?
I'm not, but I feel like I am because I'm raising one and I have my hands completely full.
Yes.
Indeed,
Well, this is National Middle Child Day, August 12th. We were talking about, did you know? So we have a new children's book that's shining a light on the lovable middle kid called Being Middle. And you have two books here. Do you want to talk about the two books that you have displayed?
Sure. So Being Middle is the second in the Being Me series. And The first book is Being Small, and it's about a girl who's very short and gets bullied, which is my older daughter. And so I designed the book to have the daughter talk about the issues that she faces, and the mom kind of flip the script and say, here's how you're special. And so as Ellie became a middle child, she jokes that she's the forgotten one, and I'm not gonna lie, like, we've actually forgotten her. One time we left her at home.
Yeah.
But just watching her navigate the ups and downs of being a middle child, I thought that this would be a perfect second book.
Yeah.
Because the series is designed to show people that their differences are their superpower. And so Ellie is different in being a middle child, but she's not stuck in the middle. She gets to be in the middle.
Sweet.
So Ellie is actually the star of this book. Is there? You know, I'm just seeing it for the first time. Is the character named Ellie? Is that how it works, or how's?
I don't believe
or
we
is it
actually
just,
name
or is it
a
just
character.
based on her
It's based
trials
on
and
her.
tribulations?
It's inherently based
We
on her.
get to sit in the middle seat.
Yes,
All the
indeed.
different things that these kids might go through. I love that. Maybe having to share with the baby with the toys. Oh, the older kid gets to laugh with mom. I could see this.
Ellie, let's hear from you. What? It looks like there's a number of different little situations in this book that middle kids like us we face. Which ones stand out the most to you? Which of these do you remember the most?
I remember when my sisters would get to be with my parents and I'd just be left out sometimes.
The older one does competitive dance, and the younger one is just so cute. She's 3.
Yes.
And she kind of feels like, well, where am I in that mixture?
Sure. You know, I feel like as a parent with 3 kiddos, there's a problem with the middle. Your older kid kind of grows and goes to school. The younger one, obviously, they're little, they're babies, they take more attention. So the middle kind of gets stuck in that situation too. As mom, how have you kind of balanced that? Or
So-
tried to?
It's been a challenge navigating the ups and downs because I wanted to show Ellie that I almost called her Haley. See how I call her my older child's name? I wanted to show Ellie that she's special. So one thing that we started to do, I started to make just one-on-one time with her.
Yeah.
So we decided that we want our one-on-one time to be volunteering. So every month we go through the Honeycomb Project and we volunteer. We've cleaned up forest preserves, we've sewed pillowcases for teenagers, and we've even baked cookies for kids in the hospital. So that's our once a month check-in. Also, I start recognizing Ellie's milestones a little bit more, even if she brings home like a picture from school or a test. I'm like, this is a great job. I'm gonna put it on the fridge. Like, really going out of my way to show her that I recognize her. Even though I already do, I want her to see that.
Ellie, what is it like for you to see kind of aspects of your own real life be printed here in a book like this?
I could hardly believe it because I was the forgotten one.
No, never, no. That's so fun though. Do you tell all your friends? My mom wrote a book about me.
Yeah.
Yeah? Have you gone through it? I'm sure you have read this 100 times together.
She actually helped me write it. Some of the words were a little bit like above her head because I read it for 3 to 9, but she was like, you have to make a simpler word. And so she would literally go, I don't like this page, and she'd help with the illustrations as we would get proofs. And so she was almost like my co-author.
Have you found, the typical oldest kid, middle kid, younger kid personalities? Have you seen that on your 3 children as well?
Absolutely. I mean, love her to death. She's unapologetically her. She's unfiltered. She's spontaneous. And, a funny story is when she became a middle child, I brought my daughter home, the 3-year-old, and my older one held her and she said, "Oh my God, she's such a doll." And Ellie looked at her for a solid 2 minutes and then goes, "When can I see her naked?" She just is
Just says that you're the
unfiltered.
unfiltered,
And
never
that kind of
changed.
started
Beat
the
to your
journey
own
for her.
drum.
Yep.
Yes. Oh, well, I know this is the second of your series. I can imagine that you probably have more cooking back there. What are you thinking is next?
So I think I was different when I was growing up because I was left-handed. I always remember like going into school and getting stuck with the wrong side desk.
Okay.
And I still think it's kind of an issue for kids because the world is made for right-handed people.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking about being lefty.
Cute.
That's
Cute.
good. That's good. I have a friend who's left-handed, and the problems that they face, like it's
You
like
wouldn't
we
even-
right-handed, we wouldn't know. He's like, no, I have to sit on this side of the dinner table because
When you
if
write
I
with a pencil too.
Yeah, exactly.
You get the pencil marks on your hand.
And you don't want to be like
Yeah, it's a
rubbing
lefty
elbows
smudge, they call
with the
it.
person right next to you.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, this is super exciting. So where can people find this?
So Being Middle is published by Yorkshire Publishing. It'll be available next Tuesday, August 12th, National Middle Child Day. So you can pre-order on Amazon, or you can order a signed copy on my website, LoriOrlinskiAuthor.com.
I think this is so smart too. You can get it as a gift maybe.
Oh, for
You
sure.
know?
This would be great for any middle kid.
Yeah.
Any middle kid. Ellie, do you have any thoughts on being a middle kid, or any advice for other kids out there who might be struggling being a middle child?
You're not stuck in the middle, you get to be in the middle.
Yes. Make that into a t-shirt or a coffee mug and I'll buy that.
Yeah.
I'm going to get her a shirt too that says "In My Middle Child Era."
See? And you know
This is
what?
good.
As moms, we work it out with the first. So you actually get the practiced
Hey,
parenting.
I will say my older brother went through a lot of pain and hardship on me and my sister's
growing.
behalf.
Yes.
He had to blaze some trails.
Blazing the trails.
Not always a pleasant
Yes.
process, but we got to enjoy the fruits of that labor. every
Exactly.
once in a
Well,
while.
and I told Allie, I said, next week we're going to go back to school shopping. And she goes, for me to get clothes? And I was like, yeah. And she goes, I'm getting my own clothes this year.
hand me down.
It works out perfectly. And she's like, can I get even my new socks? I'm like, yes, you can have
And
your own
that's so funny. Down to underwear, I'm like passing it from my oldest kid down to my middle. This year I was like, we're getting you guys both new clothes too. For the first time, I did the same thing.
Yeah, so it's amazing how little
You don't
things
even
can
think
make such a
about it.
difference. for them.
Yes.
I love it. We are not stuck in the middle. We get to be in the middle, everybody. Ellie and Lori, thank you so much for being
Thank
on
you
the
so much
program.
for having
We
us.
really appreciate it. They made the drive from beautiful Norwood Park, neighborhood of Chicago. Thank you both. We'll be checking out this book.
Yeah.
Thanks
All right, you
so
guys. Being
much.
small and being middle.
Yes, and when we come back, we are going to be speaking about it. This is I don't know if you have seen this across your social media feeds over the last week or so. A very infamous little doll named Annabelle has now found a new owner. We're going to talk about the creepy details coming up when we come back.
Welcome back, 1048. And this story is pretty crazy, and I don't know why he would do this, but do you remember when we were talking, when was that, a couple weeks ago?
Yeah.
When the Annabelle doll,
Yeah.
the guy that was taking Annabelle across the country just passed away.
Oh, yeah.
Comedian Matt Rife purchased Haunted Home and Museum. So he purchased the place where Annabelle was living, staying in that box. So Matt Rife is a comedian, if you've never heard of him. He's a YouTuber. He's hilarious. He's all over social media. He has purchased the home and museum of famous paranormal researchers Ed and Lorraine Warren. This makes them legal guardians of the haunted artifacts, him, the legal guardian, I guess, including the infamous Annabelle doll. So the Warrens are real-life paranormal investigators. If you weren't listening to that last time where we were chatting about this in depth, they've been behind the cases that inspired the Conjuring universe, including Annabelle and Amityville. Rife expressed his excitement, calling this the most random hobby ever, but he's obsessed with the paranormal. He is said to, Annabelle is said to be demonically possessed, sealed in a glass case. So to circle back, so the doll was central to a tour organized by the New England Society for Psychic Research, and the tour guide, his name was Dan Rivera. He tragically died during a tour stop in Gettysburg in July. The Warren Occult Museum has been closed, but is now under Rife and Casty's ownership. I don't know who that is.
I think that's the person that he, that's a fellow YouTuber, Elton Casty.
Okay.
They went in on this together. I'm not familiar with Elton Casty.
No, me neither. So, they bought it together, huh? So they plan to reopen it for tours and overnight stays. People are going to go there just to see
Annabelle.
Rife.
Oh, Matt Rife? Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe he's
around. When he's around, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so let's see. It was founded. Remaining tour dates for the Annabelle doll continue, including spots in Maine in September. They're going to stop in Maine in September. Who's bringing the Annabelle doll now? I wonder who's going to do that tour. So it was founded by NESPR in 1952. Investigated iconic cases and collected haunted relics in their museum in Connecticut. The collection was managed by their son-in-law, Tony Spera, and daughter, Judy. So that was the previous.
So, Caitlin, where do you stand on these kinds of topics?
Why did he do this?
I do remember when we talked about this here on Chicago Now, I think I creeped everybody out.
Yes.
Because at the end of because we were talking about how the guy passed away, the handler.
Right, yep.
So I kind of put it out into the universe, like, Annabelle, if you're listening right now, we are just covering the story. We are not trying to invoke any kind of spirits here. And everyone looked at me like,
can I tell you something? Literally yesterday at our house, I was standing in the kitchen, and all of a sudden, like, the light in the laundry room, which is like off the kitchen, like the mudroom area, was dim and lit. Yeah. And I was like, well, that's weird. So my husband was in the living room, and I was like, what the heck? So I turned on the light switches, and all of the light switches were only going to this one light, which has never happened before. I mean, light switches in the living room, turning on the light in the laundry room, it didn't make sense. And then it started changing. So like I was turning the light switches, and when I'd flip it, it would turn some lights on and some lights off, different light switches. And then you turn on the TV, it would turn on the lights. It was really crazy. So we called our friend who's an electrician. He came out and looked at it. Turns out it was like something about a neutral wire that wasn't screwed in. But at some points, like, the lights were popping, like two of the lights broke. So speaking of, like, creepy things, I'm like, did somebody just DIE? And now they're here and, like, telling us. It was really crazy. But no, so off of what you said.
No.
Spooky. Yeah. Not into it, and I don't know why anybody would purchase that. Why are you even messing with that stuff? Just don't mess with the stuff. Don't mess with the stuff.
Yeah, well, you know what? Now he's going to have to just watch his 9.
Back. Watch it. Watch his 6. Watch his 12.
Is that
I don't know.
Is that the phrase?
Is that it?
Does that mean watch your back?
Yeah.
Be careful.
Watch your 6.
Be careful what you manifest, Mr. Matt Rife.
Yeah, we're all going to be looking out for you. Nobody wants that. Such a handsome, funny
So
fellow.
another story that is trending this morning
another creepy one.
This crossed my social media feed last week, and I did not like what I saw.
Okay.
All right. A study revealing the jobs that are most and least likely to be impacted by AI. So here are the nuts and bolts here. This is a report from Microsoft identifying the 40 jobs most vulnerable to being replaced by robots and AI, generative AI, and the ones that are safest. So as you can imagine, all the most vulnerable jobs are the white-collar professions. And they narrowed it down to, we won't go through all 40, obviously, but even teachers Even teachers are seen as at risk here.
Really?
Professors in fields like library science and home management could soon find AI capable of performing key parts of their job. So here we go. Here's some of the top 10 jobs most at risk. Interpreters and translators. That makes sense, right?
Yeah,
Google
sure.
Translate, come on. Historians, sales reps, writers and authors. That creeps me out.
Sales reps.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Don't you need that personal touch?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that one's a head scratcher. Writers and authors, I can see where AI, I don't know if you've ever messed around with ChatGPT, but like,
it's phenomenal.
It can write a poem.
Yes, it can.
In like perfect iambic pentameter if
Not
you wanted
good.
to. It's wild. Customer service reps.
They already are.
And then Caitlin,
Stop.
broadcast announcers and radio DJs.
I don't believe it.
Broadcast announcers. Okay, I'm wondering, are these on air, like TV on air, or just radio? Because I have listened to the radio on my way in.
Okay.
It's not often I do it because I'm mostly podcasts and
Sure.
things online.
Yeah.
But I turned on the radio one time. I can't remember what station, but I'm pretty sure it was an AI voice DJing the songs in between. You know, because we come in at 2 in the morning.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We're in the middle of the night, so some overnight shift, graveyard shift. Instead of having a voice saying, "Hey, next up, we're gonna, play whatever song by," So it did feel like it was an AI voice. But I'm wondering, like,
Okay.
you and me in here on camera.
This is what I've heard about that, is the fake, because you've seen it, I'm sure, where they have like AI generated news anchors.
I have not seen that.
Oh, you haven't? They have them. But it's creepy, and I think like the
Are
consensus
they,
was.
like animated?
Yes.
Like animated?
Yes. And it looks real, but it's not. But the reaction from viewers, the response has been, "This is creepy. I don't want it." So I don't think people
list.
want it. We're just
I did
telling
not like
ourselves this.
reading that because when I went through the top 40, I was sitting with Maggie on our back porch and I'm like, "Babe, check this out."
Think about it though. Like literally anybody could be replaced with AI or like robots. Anybody. Like, okay, we've got the list. I know he's going to go through it.
Go run through
lowest
the
at
top
risk.
jobs least at risk.
Okay.
Least at risk.
Water treatment plant operators.
Yeah.
What? Rail track maintenance. So like railroad workers. That makes sense. Logging equipment operators. What is that? Logging equipment.
Big trucks.
Okay.
So big
So
saws.
there's a theme here, right?
Yeah,
so the
the
railroad,
manual,
logging equipment,
Yep.
dredge and pile driver operators.
It's
dredge,
the physical, dredge and
pile
that's
driver.
that's hard manual labor, physical jobs. However, we've also been reporting in detail about houses that have been 3D printed.
Yeah.
We printed a house.
Sure.
And it's concrete. I mean, it's like concrete, solid
I like your
materials.
point about like white collar versus blue collar because, for example, with the electrician yesterday, AI couldn't fix that.
No,
you need someone there in person. Those are the jobs
trades.
to get.
Exactly.
The
Trade school.
trades.
Trade
you will
school.
always have a job. The
Those
physical
pay
labor
well.
job. Yes. And everybody needs it. You will never be replaced. You've got to be there in person, looking at it with your own eyes and figuring out situations. That's the way to go.
Okay, well, for now, we are
Yeah.
your hosts of Chicago Now. We hope we're not going to be replaced anytime soon, but it is 2 minutes until 11 o'clock, and we are handing the baton off to our 11 a.m. team. I see
They're
Tia.
getting ready.
Yes, I see Gabs in the house. They will be joining you with more Chicago Now right after this.
Welcome to the 11 o'clock hour of Chicago Now. I'm Gabriella Primus with Tia Ewing.
I know, it's a good day, isn't it? How was the weekend?
I was just going to ask you the same. It was good. It was very busy. I worked on a lot of wedding stuff. My mom was in town, but I had a chance to go with one of our coworkers on her parents' boat. We went on Lake Michigan and saw the skyline and stuff. Gorgeous.
Absolutely gorgeous, huh? Yeah. I did a little stuff with my family. We went back to Indianapolis. That's where my aunt had a house. And then we came back here, and it was just more work. I was working.
Jam-packed.
Yeah, jam-packed.
Well, we have a jam-packed show. We're talking about a lot of trending topics, but first, you know, a couple of the interviews that we have coming up includes talking to someone with Magic School AI to talk about the challenges with teachers. We've heard about burnout for years.
Yes.
And that just is a crisis still. So talking about the future of teaching, maybe the future of what they're learning in schools and such. Also, we have a special guest joining us too, Seth Stewart, who is actually an actor. You might know him from Hamilton, but he's gone through some spiritual training and a journey. And so he's going to talk about that, talk about his new book, and much more. But first, we have some trending topics to go through.
Yeah, we're going to talk about a story that I actually started and kicked off, which was the Shannon Sharpe story. Yeah. This case, though, is not good for Shannon Sharpe. Shannon Sharpe already in the spotlight for a lawsuit alleging sexual assault. He did go ahead and settle that lawsuit, and now there's another woman that has come out who's from Chicago. Her lawsuit was filed 4 days after the original woman's lawsuit. She's basically claiming libel and defamation. She had a video to go viral involving Usher. She happened to be in London for work, found out Usher was there. She was part of Usher's big cheery event that he has before his concert and during his concert. And yeah, Shannon Sharpe, Chad Ochocinco talked about it on their podcast. And their podcast Nightcap. I don't know if you've ever watched it before.
I have heard of it. I haven't watched it.
Yeah, and they basically said some things that she felt defamed her character. And you know, she has a huge position here in Chicago. She runs the Chicago Harold Washington Cultural Center, and she's also an in-home education basically specialist and advocate, because her daughter learned at home and turned out to be a genius, essentially.
Wow.
And so she feels like her character has been defamed. So she's asking for $20 million. I asked her, did she feel like that was a stretch? Was it a money grab? She said there is no amount that can change the fact that her character has been ruined.
Yeah, and her character, meaning, like, you know, she was part of this Usher concert. She's the one who got called up, and so they're saying that
she was married.
That she was married, and that this ruined her marriage and such.
She was never married. So that's where it's like, well, and I guess that's where it's like a thin line, right? With podcasters and social media influencers, are they held to the same standard as a traditional journalist that maybe goes to college for it, that's on a Fox 32, for example? Do they have the right, and are they obligated to get it right? That's the question. Factually speaking, they had their facts wrong. She said she reached out to them to try to get them to retract their statements, to maybe do another podcast, you know, correcting what they said. And she said that they opened the emails. She could tell that they opened them and nothing was ever corrected. Instead, they set the video to private. But if they sent the link to someone that they wanted to see it on YouTube, they could still see it. So I don't know. I do think that it's a very dicey situation. We have seen podcasters and all of these social media influencers. We've seen some of them sued before. Cardi B actually sued Tasha K, who's a well-known influencer and podcaster, and won. So, I mean, are you held to the same standards? What do you think? Should they be held to the same standards?
You know what? I think that's a really big conversation, and I've heard other people talk about this too. I think they should be held to the same standards, especially if they have that big of an audience.
Yes, and it stretches. You know, if you're in Chicago, depending on the story that we tell, maybe somebody in Chicago, the suburbs, Northwest Indiana may see it. But if you're a podcaster, we're talking across the country, across the world. So it is a bigger audience, I think, in some ways that, you know, could be influenced. And she's saying that she was on a Zoom call. This is when she said she decided to sue. She was on a Zoom call, and there was a guy on the Zoom call who watched the podcast, and she was talking about something professional. And that person said, well, let's talk about your personal life. Why aren't you talking about how your marriage was ruined? And she's like, she had to clean it up. I'm not married. And he believed it based, according to her, off of the podcast that Shannon Sharpe and Chad Ochocinco Johnson had. So,
you know, and it brings up another conversation too, away from all that, but even just being a concert goer and being able to be called on stage, as many artists do. They pick people out of the crowd and have a little fun with them. No harm, no foul. You know,
I don't think I would go. I don't think.
I don't think.
In my profession now, I don't think.
Oh, no,
I would
we
want to
wouldn't.
be a. But what if they pick you and you're kind of on the spot? What do? I think I would have to say, pick her or pick him.
Yeah.
It couldn't be me.
I can't.
Yeah, it could get too dicey.
Oh, wow.
So they have until August 22nd to give their response to the lawsuit. Of course, we'll be watching to see how it shakes out. It doesn't look good for Shannon Sharp. He's been, in the spotlight in a negative way here lately. Okay, National Chocolate Chip Cookie Day.
Yum.
Do you love chocolate chip cookies?
I do love chocolate chip cookies. My fiance, big cookie person.
Really?
Can't say no to a cookie. But do you have a favorite place in Chicago that has a cookie? 'Cause I'm kind of looking for that spot that's a go-to, a surprise maybe
That's
for him
a hard
one day.
one. Donuts, yes, but I can't think of a place that I go to in Chicago for cookies. I usually bake them at home.
Yeah, they're so
Yeah.
easy to make,
Yeah.
honestly. Tivoli Tavern. Is it Tivoli Tavern that has that
Yes,
big,
yes,
like,
yes.
kind of like, what is it, BJ's?
It's huge.
Yeah, big cookie, cake, whatever they
That's
call it. They
good.
have a certain name for it. I'm forgetting.
can't
It has
think
a
of it
big
either.
scoop of ice cream
On
on
top.
top. That one's good. Now that I'm talking about it out loud, yeah.
And that is how I like my chocolate chip cookies typically. Like, I feel like if you're gonna go splurge with chocolate chip cookie and lose, the health part anyway, you may as well have some ice cream on top, and they may as well be warm. I can't stand a hard chocolate chip cookie. That's why I can't buy them from the stores most of the
No,
time.
I'd rather have cookie dough than a cooked cookie.
Yeah, I agree with you. Okay, so there are places you can actually get some, so this says stop by any U.S. Doubletree Hotel on August 4th for the brand's famous cookie. No reservations required. Have you ever had a cookie from the hotel?
No, I haven't.
Oh my God, they are
they
so
so good?
Yes, they
that's
are
kind of
really
random.
good.
I'm not gonna lie.
I know it is kind of random, but they're known for it.
Another place, Insomnia Cookies, heard of that place.
Yes.
I've had their cookies before. You can get a free chocolate chunk cookie with any purchase through the 4th. So sorry, it's your last day, but you can do
you got to
it.
go today. Have you ever had crumble?
Yes.
What do you think? Because they started off as cookies, but they're kind of like crossing the line into like other desserts and treats,
almost,
kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love it. Could eat literally a whole box, probably if you'd let me.
Yeah.
But hearing like the TikToks and articles that even like a fourth of the cookie is like an outrageous amount of calories. I want to say like 500. That might be wrong.
Yeah. Diabetic.
I'm just like,
sure.
you know what? It's
Sure.
so good, but I'm gonna have to pass.
Yeah, I agree with you on
sorry.
that. Okay. Did you go to Lolla? You didn't say anything about Lolla.
No, I didn't go to Lolla. I wish I would have because the weather was great. The performances seemed awesome.
There were some surprises?
There were some surprises.
What was the surprise? Because I haven't really followed this. I'm not
I
gonna
did see
lie.
this one on TikTok just last night. Sabrina Carpenter brought out Earth, Wind, and Fire, and they performed their Grammy-nominated track, Let's Groove. And of course,
we can't probably hear it.
And of course, September.
Let's Groove tonight.
Oh, you know what? She's so cute.
And have
Her
some
little
fun
outfits.
tonight. Yeah, that is a cute outfit.
I got to talk to so many fans, though, as they're waiting at the gates for the morning show. We chatted with them. Okay, who are you excited to see? A lot of them were excited to see Sabrina, of course, on Sunday, but really Olivia Rodrigo and Gracie Abrams, who I chatted with. So Gracie Abrams, she brought out Swedish singer and songwriter Robin, who I haven't heard of before, but now I did a quick look up, so she seems legit. I also need to listen to some more songs, but when Abrams performed in Lollapalooza back in 2022, as a much smaller artist, we see a lot of artists start here and then one day they come back and they are a headliner. She covered Robin's iconic song, Dancing on My Own, and in a full circle moment, Abrams performed the hit song once again.
Oh, wow.
But actually had Robin herself there to perform it with her.
That's awesome. I like that. So I did see some surprises of why. I questioned why people were there, because there's a lot of people I follow on social media that were posting they were there, but I never heard about them taking the stage or anything. And in fact, I know we were just talking about Usher. His oldest son, I think he's the oldest, was there. He has a new song out. And I saw him post like Lolla. It was like a huge crowd of people and everything. So I don't know if he was singing with someone or he was just there with someone, but he does sound identical to his father. I can't think of his first name right now. Man, it's
I don't know it either.
And yeah, he has a new song out. If I had my phone, I'd look it up real quick. I want to say it's Nevadius, but I may have it wrong. But I was curious, did he take the stage with anyone? Because his voice is absolutely amazing. But
I bet
I
the
didn't
next
see
couple
it.
years
He'll be at
we're
Lollapalooza.
going to definitely know his name. Also, Luke Combs, I reposted this video where he brought in Alex Warren, that song Ordinary.
Yes.
So good. So Luke started with, singing the song, and then he brought in Alex. But Luke does such a good job at covers.
Yeah.
and it was just it was an iconic duo.
What did you think about Chance the Rapper?
You know what? I know that he has a new album coming out, so I thought it was cool that he came, but only for 15 minutes? Come on, man.
I know, that was really quick. Oh, okay, and so they put up a sign for me because when you get old, you can't remember everything like you used to. Usher's son's name is Naveed, and his song is Smooth Blues. And I listened to it last night. I saw in his story, because I follow him, I was like, when I first heard him sing, I said, oh my goodness, this is like Usher.
Yeah.
The second, I mean, essentially it is, and the voice is identical. He has a new song out, Smooth Blues. It is absolutely amazing, and honestly, it transcends generations. Like, you don't have to be super young to listen to it. You don't have to be super old. Like, I think anybody could listen to it and be kind of knocked off of your feet with it. It's like that good, smooth R&B
really
that I feel like we're missing, and I didn't take away that it was like overly sexual or anything like that. It was just
maybe
clean.
not as much like his dad. All right.
Well,
hey, I love Usher. I'm not trying to hate on Usher.
I guess you're right.
You know what I'm trying to say to you.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, I'm gonna have to look him
you
up
have to listen
and
to
listen
it.
that song
Blues.
like
I think
literally right after the show. Okay, interesting. Yeah, so many big names. When I hear that there are 170 artists that come through the weekend, my mind is blown, because it doesn't feel that way. There's so many main stages, but
we talked to so many people. Yeah, you're right. But we talked to so many people that said they get there early in the morning and they stay well into the night.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing they're just hopping around at all of these different stages. You know, Chicago, I mean, we have to give credit where credit's due. Now, don't get me wrong. I get sick of Lolla sometimes, and I'll be honest about it because of the traffic.
Yeah.
I'm honest.
Every street is closed.
I'm like, come on with the traffic, but I have to give credit where credit is due. Chicago has attracted some world-class stars here, and no matter if you're going or not, you got to give credit to Chicago for being a big stage like that and really propelling people into stardom.
Oh yeah.
There's people that start on the smart stage or the small stage, and the next thing you know, the next time they're on this huge stage, and you get to see them before they go, which is huge.
Yeah, not only that, but also just bringing people from all over the world to Lollapalooza and loving our city. We've seen so many videos of, spending money, but we've seen so many videos of artists and fans coming here for the first time and saying, I can't believe I've never been to Chicago. No one talks about how cool this place is.
I wonder how is it if you're on that stage and you're performing and you look out and you can see like all the beautiful buildings.
Oh, amazing.
You know, you can see the lake. I mean, that has to be like premium, like to be able to see that.
You have to feel like I made it.
Yeah, for sure. Maybe one day we'll find out, Gabby.
Maybe
it doesn't, I mean, in some cases, it doesn't take much.
Should we start taking some singing lessons or something?
Well, I'm not being shady, but it doesn't take much for some people to be stars. I mean, some of them don't really have amazing talent. I mean, let's just be honest. Some people are, I mean, especially some of these rappers, they're talking.
Sometimes DJs too. Like, how hard could it be? Just kidding. No, it's probably very
That's probably hard. But some of the rappers, though, I guess, putting the words together, but they sound like they're talking. I love the shy. It's so amazing. Everywhere I look, it's so hazy. I mean, come on, it can't be that hard. I'm just saying. That wasn't amazing on my part.
Okay.
But I'm just saying.
Get your notebook out.
DJ T on the ones and twos.
Dedicated to songwriting, and then we got something going on.
I know. You never know.
I'll be your producer.
All right, we got some stuff coming up. We're going to be talking about education. We're going to switch gears, talk about something more serious. Education and AI, how the two worlds come together. We'll talk about it right after this break. Oh, what? You're not ready to go to break?
We're not ready to go to break, sorry.
Okay, now we're ready. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Chicago Now. Right now, we're going to slow our show down and talk to Adil Khan, founder and CEO of the AI education platform Magic School AI. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thanks so much for having me. It's great to be here this morning.
You know, I was looking at your information here, your background, and very interesting. You were the student body president during the Virginia Tech shooting. Talk about that.
Yeah, I was the student body president. I was 19 years old at Virginia Tech when the shooting occurred, and I think it was an important moment in my life where leadership turned from something to achieve to something that can help others and serve others. So I played a hand in organizing a lot of the events after the shooting, like the candlelight vigil on campus, the memorial, and just supporting the student body that was in a really challenging place at the time. So super important moment in my life and set me on a trajectory of eventually becoming a teacher in schools and then a principal and now the founder of Magic School.
So when I hear Magic School and I think of AI and teaching, some people may feel like, okay, does that mean the teacher's not doing their job and they're relying on AI? Can you talk about how the two worlds are coming together?
Yeah, so generative AI can be this incredible support for educators where we know that teachers have an enormous amount of responsibilities in the classroom, and AI can help them do some of their daily tasks, like getting great ideas for lesson plans to better connect to their students, build rubrics for creative projects in their classroom, all while keeping human in the loop and making sure they stay at the center of the classroom experience. So there's a great, what we think is the marriage between AI and a teacher, with the teacher at the center of it, is the most important thing. And teachers are magic is our slogan, and it's a catchy one, but it's also the ethos of our company. We think that teachers are irreplaceable and the center of a child's classroom experience, and AI can help, but it's certainly not there to replace them.
So what's an example of one task that really is hard for teachers to do or have time to do that AI can help with?
So let's say that you're a teacher who wants to, I'll give you two really great examples. One, if you're a teacher who's creating a project and you know exactly the assignment you want to do in your classroom, it's really creative, it's bringing in things from the community, and it's going to capture your students' attention, and you're looking for a way to assess them. Magic School can take all the context of your assignment and then create a great way to assess them using a rubric. So there's a tool called the rubric generator where a teacher can put in tons of context about what the students are doing, and then the teacher can get out a rubric that can help them assess the students on the project they complete. This allows teachers to be way more creative and bring in new ideas to the classroom without the tedious task of having to put together every single rating for a rubric. And then the second thing is when teachers can use Magic School with their students, there's a student side of the platform as well, in addition to these AI co-pilot tools. They can do things like get students feedback on their writing before they turn the essay into them. So an example would be that a teacher creates a tool where they can attach maybe their state writing rubric to the tool, and then tell the tool, give students feedback in this way. This is the way I'd want them to get feedback in context of this rubric. The student puts in the essay that they wrote all on their own, not with AI. And then the AI, in context of the rubric they'll eventually be graded on, will give them feedback right in the moment after they wrote their essay, so they can make those improvements and eventually get a better grade. So everybody wins. Parents win because kids are getting better grades on their assignments. Students win because they're getting just-in-time feedback. And teachers win because they're getting better essays turned into them, and they can give that last bit of feedback to improve it even more. This is a way that AI can help a teacher amplify their impact. I was an English teacher, and there was no way that for my 140 students or so over 6 periods, I would have been able to get them all individualized feedback before they turned in their essay to me. And AI introduces that as a possibility in today's classroom.
How do you think this helps with creativity? Because I know, for example, I was talking to some kids and they were saying, well, my sister had that teacher, I had that teacher, the lessons were exactly the same. The teacher had been doing the job for 30 years, and so they felt like it worked for 30 years, I'll just keep doing the same thing. How do you think this helps to really propel creativity in the classroom?
So one thing that Magic School can do is it can take existing assignments and you can refresh them. There are a couple ways that you might use Magic School. One, you can differentiate the assignment for students who might need an extra challenge. or student who might be behind grade level to reach all the students in your classroom. But then to your point, it can also make an existing topic more relevant to students based on their current context in the world, maybe relating a math concept to last week's Chicago Bulls basketball game. So you can really refresh content and make it very tailored to the student and the experience and relevant to them, and make classroom experiences for students more engaging, more relevant, and we know that's something that drives student outcomes.
I want to ask you a quick follow-up. So are you saying that Magic School has the ability to essentially make it easier for a teacher that may have several students in the class that are at different grade levels? Maybe they're teaching second grade, but maybe someone's reading on the first grade level. It helps them be able to teach everyone.
That is exactly right. So you can differentiate something for both students who might be behind grade level through maybe leveling a text or adding questions at a level that's better for their understanding. But also it can push students who might be far ahead of the class. You know, when I was a teacher and I had fast finishers in my classroom, sometimes, you know, you wonder, how can I challenge them? I want to give them some additional work, but I don't necessarily, I'm keeping everyone in the same place right now. Very quickly, you can whip up a couple new things and challenge them with extra work as well in a matter of seconds. A big unlock in the classroom for teachers.
So, you know, you hear about, let's say, seasoned teachers getting frustrated. Okay, I have to learn a new piece of technology, you know, things are advancing, it's hard for me to keep up. Have you found that it's hard to get these seasoned teachers to get on board with AI?
You would be shocked at how much people find Magic School, and while they might be typically technology reluctant, no matter how long they've been in the classroom, they find it, and it's so practically useful to them. And the best teachers know how to work smarter, not harder, especially the longer you're in the classroom. And when they see this technology, they try it for the first time, they're hooked and they tell their friends. So, you know, a fascinating thing that's happening in the world is AI is proliferating into so many different professions. And teachers might be the fastest growing of all of these groups. I would venture to argue that teachers are using AI more than lawyers, doctors, and other professions. Magic School has grown to almost 6 million educators using the platform in just over 2 years, over 30,000 just in the Chicagoland area. That's a staggering number considering there's about 3.5 million educators in the United States. This includes international numbers too. So it's more likely today that an educator knows what Magic School is and is probably using it than not. And that's because it's so practically useful to them and it takes stuff off of their plate rather than adding to it.
So how does this work? Is this an individual that would download this platform to be able to use it, or are you seeing school districts purchase this for all of their teachers to be able to use?
It's actually completely free for educators, and they can just go to magicschool.ai and sign up for it in seconds and get the value out of it right away. We do partner with school districts as well as customers, and when school districts come on as customers, what they are choosing is to have the ability on the back end to have it really deeply customized for their context of their school or district. So for example, the district might have their own standards or policies, and they want to infuse the AI with the criteria and documentation to make sure that it's aligned to the educational standards as well as their priorities for the district. So we give a lot of customization and control to districts that partner. But even if you weren't in a district that partnered, you could just sign up for free and get to use Magic School. And you can still contextualize with your current curriculum and what you're working on by uploading to the platform. But sometimes that centralized control is something that districts want because they want to make sure that they're aligning to what their priorities are for their school year and for what they hope that their students will achieve.
So Adil, I'm also reading that you're a founding principal of the top performing public high school in Denver. Can you tell us about the school? Obviously you're incorporating AI.
Yeah, well, I was a principal. I'm not a principal anymore, but I did found a public high school here in Denver before I founded Magic School, and they're certainly using Magic School at the school building. But you know, the premise of the school, and very much the premise of the way I thought about you know, building this company, is that relationships are at the heart of learning. You know, I always tell folks, they ask, you know, why was the school so successful, you know, as you grew it? And I always said that, we're going to start with this premise that we're going to love our students and our community. We're going to build really deep relationships with them. And on top of that, we're going to build rigorous curriculum, and we're going to build the kind of school where great outcomes will occur. And it worked. So, while AI is here and it's here to stay, it's going to make a big impact on learning and teaching. AI can't have the kind of relationship that we know that amazing teachers have and schools have with their communities. So as we build Magic School, we always think about the heart of the educational process as that relationship between student and teacher. And we want to amplify that with these tools, not replace that.
Let me ask you something. Does Magic School track any progress? So for example, let's say you have a math teacher and the students are struggling to learn certain things in math. Is there a tool anywhere within Magic School that tracks to see, oh, this was actually successful? Magic School gave this teacher this example, and it turned out that now that classroom has risen maybe in their standards of learning for math.
So within the platform, we don't have anything that would track the use of a material and how it's impacted the classroom. We do, however, when the platform is used with students, it will directly share insights of how the students are using it and what they're learning back to the teacher on their own dashboard. So the teacher launches those tools to students, the students interact with these AI tools, and the teacher then on their reporting dashboard will get a report of how did the students interact, what did they learn, and those kinds of things. But when it comes to student outcomes, one of the more promising examples that we have is a school district in Colorado here, Aurora Public Schools, discovered that a teacher who was using that writing feedback tool that I described to you earlier used that tool over the course of a year and saw a almost a 30% improvement in student outcomes on their statewide literacy exam, which sounds crazy. That's such a big amount of growth year over year for students, or an improvement. But it's not so crazy when you think about this is the first time in history that students, right after they took a practice exam before their one they take for their high stakes exam, that they could get feedback right in the moment and apply that feedback right away. And the past 100 years of schooling required the teacher to collect the essays, spend a couple weeks grading it, and then getting the feedback to the student. You can imagine that if every time a student did an essay or wrote on their own, they got feedback right when they had it fresh on their brains and they could make those edits and improvements, you would see dramatic growth. And we did. And we're seeing that happen all over the country when AI is used really thoughtfully and intentionally aligned with the school district's goals and priorities.
Wow, really cool. I feel like this is really getting a handle on AI because I know that at first when it was coming into school systems or students were learning how to use it, it was hard to control. People were using it the wrong way with their assignments. So I'm really glad to see that things are changing and probably helping a lot with recruiting teachers as well.
Absolutely. We have partners who actually use this in their recruitment materials for their teachers, saying that we are a district that supports teachers working smarter, not harder, and using AI for the right reasons, and that ends up being a really great great thing. We know, the studies show the greatest impact on a student's trajectory is the quality of their teacher. We also know that teachers are higher quality the longer they stay in the classroom. So if we can keep teachers more sustained, coming back year over year and having more effective teachers in schools because they are using AI as a complement to their to supplement some of their workload, that is something that will benefit our students and our society in the long run.
Any teacher that's watching right now that wants to get their hands on Magic School AI, where can they go?
They can go to www.magicschool.ai and they can sign up completely for free and get started right away. Promise that you'll find something to love in the platform, and we'd love to have you join our community.
Amazing. I think what you've done is amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, being able to even break into that space.
Really.
Did you have a background in technology at all? How did you find yourself in this space?
No, not at all. I have been very fortunate to have partnered with some incredible technologists, and the company has grown a lot. But the idea for what Magic School would be what, almost was a complete thought in my brain as generative AI was taking the scene and ChatGPT was dominating the headlines in November of 2022. And I found the right partners and the right team, and they helped build this thing. Wouldn't be able to do it without them, as well as a community of educators who found it and loved it. A lot of the platform is just, from a lifetime working as a teacher and principal. And I thought that if we built something that was really intimate to the educator's experience, that seemed to understand them and what they would use generative AI for, it might just take off. And just over 2 years later, it's been more than what I could have imagined, and a dream come true. And it's so I wake up grateful every day to be able to serve so many educators and students around the world.
So I think it's safe to say you are not in the classroom right now and have no plans on returning back to the classroom. You're just keeping on with this technology.
Yeah, this is more than a full-time job, but I'm in schools a lot and still seeing the impact, and we're learning and growing from educators. We're working really closely with them, and as we add new features to the platform and we improve existing ones, we're always listening to feedback from teachers, and being in school buildings still and being connected to them is really important to us.
I bet they appreciate that you get it. You understand. You've been there.
From the background, right. Let me ask you something. How do you keep it fresh? Because, like, for example, there are people that say when they use, ChatGPT, for example, that they kind of get the same responses if they ask it a question as their friend would. How do you keep it kind of updated to where, like, if I'm a teacher here in Chicago, maybe I'm teaching science, a teacher in Denver isn't kind of creating the same, I guess, educational tools based on your platform?
Yeah, one of the things that we do that is unique is we ask the teacher a lot about what they want to produce with the platform. So inherently it's unique to the personal experience of the educator. So, somebody in Denver would definitely have a different perspective on what somebody in Chicago might be experiencing in the school building. They might bring in more relevant context from their community. So really it's that the teacher is unique, and the teacher has a unique voice that they give to the AI, and the AI kind of supports and molds around what they want to build for their students in their classrooms. So we maintain the uniqueness by ensuring that the teacher can add more context and make it even more relevant to their unique experience, which we know is a combination of their own, the community they're serving, as well as their students. So, example of that might be that we have a tool in the platform that makes word problems for math. So your math story, word problems that you might read in the classroom, but a teacher can customize that with the context of what's happening in the neighborhood. Like I mentioned, maybe a Chicago Bulls game, and make those problems more engaging because they are relevant to what's going on right in front of them. And someone in Denver or somebody in South America could use the same tool, but they'll likely use it in a different way to make it more relevant to the world that they're living in.
I like it.
International.
And it sounds like something like if your kid is having a little hard time and maybe as a parent you can't afford tutoring, this sounds like something that you may be able to use in your everyday lives as well at home. So yeah, well, Adil, I wish we could talk longer. I'm so interested in this.
It's really cool technology.
Yeah, it is. Great job that you've done, and we appreciate you joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. It was great to meet you both.
All right, no problem.
Have a great morning.
We'll talk next year so we can see where the platform is then as school starts up next year around this time.
It's a deal.
All right,
really
perfect. Cool. I like it. It's a deal.
It's a cool.
You get it?
Yeah. Oh.
It's a deal. That was good.
Yeah, he's got it. Hey, he knows what he's saying. I think it's cool too because you'll probably run into it one of these days where Story comes to you with a hard math question. Hey, honey, I can't.
Type it in.
We're gonna have to use some Magic School AI here. Okay, well, Adil was awesome.
Yes.
Talking to one amazing person to another here coming up. Seth Stewart, original cast member of Broadway's Hamilton, In the Heights, and revival of Sweet Charity. We're gonna be talking to him coming up. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Chicago Now. Okay, our next guest is Tony Award winner and an original cast member of Broadway's Hamilton and In the Heights. He's toured the world with icons, has just a great story. Seth Stewart stepped away from the spotlight and began a deep spiritual journey. Seth, thank you so much for joining us. I know that you are also just released a book, Follow Your Vision, Live Your Truth, a memoir chronicling his journey from Broadway to becoming a spiritual guide. I'm so glad that you joined us this morning.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, let's talk about your experience first of all with Hamilton. Huge show. What was that like?
I mean, it was intense. It was one of the most intense shows on stage and off stage as well. And I learned a lot just as an artist and as, you know, a human being. I did it off Broadway, transferred to Broadway. The cast was amazing. The storytelling was amazing. And it's, you know, we're in our 10-year anniversary. I just got to New York, and here we are about to celebrate, you know, 10 years from the time that we opened. So it's kind of wild that it turned around so quickly.
Let's talk about that. So you were on Broadway, but you've also toured with some really big names that we know: Madonna, Jay-Z, Jennifer Lopez. What was that like, being a dancer versus then transitioning to your roles in Hamilton?
Yeah, I mean, I grew up as a dancer. Played sports, but, you know, dance became my thing. And then it just so happened that, you know, I kind of trickled into theater. I could sing, I could act a little bit. And, you know, the more I auditioned, the more opportunities came. And so Hamilton was actually my third Broadway show. And I love theater. I love performing live. There's just a different experience. When I toured with, you know, Madonna, we did some shows that were 100,000 people. And so it was kind of always a dream of mine since I was a kid to just perform live, whatever it was going to be. So yeah, now one of the things that I do is I coach young kids that want to get there, whether it's you know, commercial dancing or on Broadway, through a company I have called Performer's Edge, to really kind of help guide them holistically on the mindset, performance, just keeping the wellness as they move through the industry. You know, I'm really focused on coaching kids, and one of the things that I do to help them live their dreams as well.
So you had this big life in the spotlight, and then you had, it sounds like almost like a turning point, a moment that led you to a new spiritual journey. Can you tell us about that change?
Absolutely. Actually, after my second Broadway show, which was In the Heights, I had one of many, many awakenings, and I went and worked at a primitive skills school. And nature was my sanctuary. I was doing sweat lodges. I was working at the school, just living out in the woods for 6 months. It was at one of the oldest primitive skills schools, the Tom Brown Tracker School. And it kind of turned my life around. And then I kind of came back into the industry. I was gone, and I auditioned for Hamilton, did the whole Hamilton thing. And then it was weird. I took over the role of Jefferson Lafayette, and backstage during one of the shows, I felt this calling again that it was probably going to be one of my last Broadway shows, that I was going to have to kind of go on that seeker's journey and really listen to my heart. And like my book is titled, you know, Follow Your Vision, Live Your Truth. I had to go follow my vision. I didn't know where it was going to lead me, but it led me to mountains, to jungles, to building my off-grid cabin, and just so many magical experiences that I would have never had if I didn't listen to my heart.
Let's talk about that. Do you still do that? Do you still find yourself going to the woods, do you still have the cabin?
Still have the cabin, still off grid, but I'm traveling more because throughout I was in nature for 3 years straight. It just so happened to be the pandemic, but I was already planning on doing that. And having attuned myself to the earth, having gone through all of these different plant medicine ceremonies and sweat lodges, and just being with nature, with Mother Nature, and learning from her, I got my fill of a lot of amazing lessons and spiritual lessons as well. And it just so happened 2.5 years ago, I was getting called out to come speak, to come help more people, to finish this book. And those experiences, if I would have never done them, I think it would have been a regret in life, because there's some times where you get a calling. If you don't answer it, you don't know what you're missing. And that's one of the things that I talk about in my book. But now I'm I'm back. I am more in society. True Kings Academy is another group that I have that I'm really focused on helping men develop their spiritual evolution. A lot of men are going through suffering in their dark night of the soul, and we can talk about that. But yeah, I've been in the forest for quite some time.
So who taught you, these survival skills, these spiritual skills? Was it just your own research? Was it some like shamans who taught you?
Yeah, great question. So at the Tom Brown Tracker School, I mean, again, he had the school for over 30 plus years, and he had other instructors, and he was there himself. So that's what I was there to learn, because I realized as a man, I didn't know how to build a fire primitively. I didn't know how to make my own shelter. I didn't know what kind of food to find wild in the forest, or what kind of herbs. And so I went to really focus on that because it was fascinating to me. I love the stage. I love performing for people, but there's nothing like being in oneness with nature. So I really spent a lot of time there. I went to Peru quite a bit to work with a shaman down there, and then I just really focused on my spiritual evolution. I've always been a reader. I've always been a seeker since I was 18 years old, and I really just worked on my medicine and gathering all the knowledge that I could, and make it really simple, because there's a lot of spirituality out there that can go a little bit really far left, and I went really far left. And now my mission is to really ground spiritual information into day-to-day living. Really grounding spirituality is my focus.
When you say that you felt called to do this, was there anything, because sometimes for people when they go and they take this hiatus, it's something in their everyday life that is almost like plaguing them. Was it that, or do you feel like it was much bigger than that, and that's why you decided to take a break from the stage?
That's a great question. It was, I had a little bit of burnout when I first went away from the industry, but really it was a calling. And so we all have this internal knowledge. We all have intuition. We know when there's somebody that's walking up to us that we don't really feel right? Like, we all live in big cities. We know our intuition. We are very aware people. And there is just a spirit within inside of us that can call us to do something else. And it really takes meditation. It really takes stillness. It really takes listening to ask, where am I needed, or what's next for me in my life? And so it's really more of answering the call than it is running away from something else. Now, what I bring back, again, specifically with my men's group, True Kings, is we're all very busy people. But you can go to nature on the weekend. You can do meditation as a daily practice to really listen to your heart, to really listen to your spirit as you become more and more still. That daily practice is what brings us peace. That daily practice brings us to our awareness, to listening to our higher selves, or to listening, to a higher calling. And it doesn't matter if you're religious or spiritual, it's just a spiritual calling that people will feel. So I think our world needs it. The world is very divided, but there's also a lot of communities that are coming together. They believe in oneness, they believe in unity. And that's my main focus as a human being, is to bring us back to unity consciousness, no matter how different we are.
No, I agree with what you're saying. I think the problem that a lot of people have in our society is they're accustomed to one way of doing things. So when people say things like what you're saying, they don't align with it. They automatically dismiss it because that's not what they learned. But I actually had a friend to go to Peru too, and spent some time there. And I want to say, is it ayahuasca? Am I close?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And participated with the tribe. And I think that's a form of medicine. And it kind of opens your mind to healing and all of that. So I kind of understand at least, some of what you're saying. I think, again, most people's minds aren't big enough to really explore it. In your book, Follow Your Vision, Live Your Truth, do you explore that, walking in your truth?
I do. And, I talk about people that, I talk about my plant medicine experiences. Now, I've had some very wild journeys. And so when people read my book, it's I really go through the depths of being a spiritual seeker and, my career, but really where my path has led me. And so there's a lot of people that may get that calling to do plant medicine, but I would, suggest to them to do it. What I focus on is the integration coming back into society. Because you can have all of these amazing spiritual experiences, but how do you reintegrate into society, into the fast pace where everybody's on their phone, where you can't even hear your own inner voice anymore? That is what I focus on, and that's what I mean, and I also share in my book about the groundedness of the spiritual experiences we have, because they're supposed to be applied to daily life, right? So we don't take things so seriously, that we have more groundedness, that no matter what is going on around us, we keep our inner light, especially in the world right now. It's changing with AI, it's changing with, for political reasons. But no matter what, I truly believe that if we keep our inner light and we keep the groundedness within ourselves and the people around us, that we can kind of hold steady. Because I do believe that even though there's all tumultuous times, that there's a lot of light and a lot of beauty and a lot of people waking up on this planet.
Seth, I see that your book comes out on Friday. Do you hope and anticipate that a lot of fellow performers, actors, I guess day-to-day people too, will come to you and want to go on the same journey or something similar?
That's a great question. I'm in complete surrender to the outcome. I would like to be a source, one source, a trusted source, because people know me, that I've gone on my journey, that they can come to me and ask questions. They can come to me and for help even. That's why I say spiritual guide. Everybody is their own leader. But there's some people that have gone off a different path to really focus on that. And I really guide people to say, this is what you might experience, or this is how you integrate your experiences coming back into society. So whatever the book does, I'm in complete surrender, but it's raw. It wasn't written by AI. It was a 6.5-year journey, the authentic way. And I really pour my heart out, and it's a very vulnerable place for me to do, but I got to speak the truth, my truth. And I think a lot of people will resonate it, especially this day and age.
Seth, I have to ask you, you obviously have rubbed shoulders, been right next to some really big names, and we've heard, sometimes what we see happening in that world is a little bit different than what goes on behind the scenes. Did that kind of propel you to this in part? Did you see anything that was like, ooh, this is outside of my spiritual realm? I need some grounding. I got to get away from this craziness. Was it that kind of experience in part two, without being too personal?
In terms of the entertainment industry?
Yes.
I mean, no matter what industry, there can be greed, there can be ego, but that's not what dominates the industry. Ultimately, in the entertainment industry, people want to make art, and there are beautiful people within the entertainment industry. And so there's a little bit of both, right? But again, for me, it was more of answering a call than it is a run away from what's going on. Now, more people in all industries want to have mental wellness. They want to have inner peace. And so what I think that we're doing, our generations are doing, are staying in these industries, right? And bringing it more holistic, saying, you guys don't need to be greedy. We don't need the ego. Let's just be great artists. Let's just make great art. And I think if we become enlightened and we become peaceful and we become healthy and we stay in our industries that might seem toxic, then the toxicity has to start to go away, because there's too much light in our industries, no matter what kind of job you're in. So I always tell people, you don't have to run away from your day job. You just need to work on yourself, and eventually other people, the light will spread. I really, really believe it. And so we can't run away from things that are bad. We actually have to focus on changing where we are.
That explains why I'm still in journalism. Thank you, Seth.
You can change it. You can change it.
We can take a little trip. Yeah, we need to read Seth's book. So, Seth, would we be surprised maybe if we looked around the entertainment industry? Have people been on the same journey as you, or do you think that there's definitely more who could use this?
I know more people are going to be going through some major transitions. I just happen to take my journey 7, 8 years in advance. And again, so that's why I'm really coming out with this book, being more vulnerable, so that they have one of maybe many people. It's hard for me to gauge how many people have. I think the awareness of holistic health, spirituality, connecting with nature is becoming, I guess, more accepted. But I think as the world shifts energetically and spiritually, when people ask, what do I do as they wake up, you know, whether they're in the entertainment industry or not, the first thing I do is say go to nature, because it's the feminine energy, it's nurturing, it's grounding, and when you're walking barefoot in the mountains or in the woods, you automatically feel better. So I think over the next 5 years, we're going to see a lot more major shifts, and I just happen to be one of, you know, other people that have taken the path a little bit earlier.
What's next in your journey? You have this book coming out. Do you think you will? It sounds like you, at least to me, it sounds like you would return to the stage.
I have a new stage. My stage is really helping young performers who want to live their dreams. I've had a beautiful, beautiful career, and it may not be over. I really want to help these young performers with my performer's edge, with coaching and helping coach their parents, because parents get left out. And then I'm really, really focused on men, because I have helped clients spiritually, you know, over the past 4 or 5 years. And when I pray, I've been guided to really help the men, because men are suffering alone. They need community. They need the spiritual elevation. They need financial elevation, emotional elevation in terms of how to communicate. And I've also really wanted to focus on men, because I have too many female friends that have just given up on men. And the truth is, men have given up on themselves. Now, there is a huge sector of men that are growing, that do, you know, want to do great for their families. There are great men out there. And sometimes it can be a little bit too alpha, to where it might exclude other men. So my community with True Kings Academy is to bring in all men that want to elevate, especially the spiritually inclined men. And those are my next 2 things. I can see myself doing that for the next 10 to 20 years, is helping these young performers, and then helping men grow spiritually, so that they can have great partnerships, so that they can have great communities, and we can really turn the tides. That's my focus.
I love it.
Okay, Seth, so we'll keep in mind True Kings Academy, of course, but also your book coming out on Friday, Follow Your Vision, Live Your Truth. Quickly, where can the audience find your book?
They can find it on my website, iamsethstewart.com, or they can find it on Amazon or anywhere that these books are available, ebooks or prints.
All right, Seth Stewart, it has been a pleasure. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
All right, thanks for sharing your story. That was uplifting. Yeah, a lot said there. All right, we'll be right back after this break. Hit it. obviously Chicago in the state of Illinois, one of the first places you think of when you think of Illinois. What else do you think of when you think of our state?
Well, I was telling you politics is one of the first things I think of.
I have to agree with you on that. Okay, I found this out because they handed me these cue cards. I did not know this. Illinois ranks 9th in the nation for producing NFL talent, and I find that to be fascinating. Out of a list, that's pretty high.
Yeah, I would say. But it says the state is home to 89 active NFL athletes, placing it ahead of states like Alabama, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania, which surprises me because I guess if you were to ask me, I would say Alabama is one.
That's what I would
Just because
think.
they're so crazy about football that maybe they're just bred different.
Yeah, but in fairness, when I think about our state and I think about high schools, I think that a lot of high schools here have great athletic programs, so I guess I'm not surprised by that. I would think football and probably the NBA too at some point would be on the list as well. So I'm not really shocked, but I think it's pretty high. I think it's pretty impressive.
I kind of want to know some of the higher ranked states. I would say Florida is probably another one.
Definitely
Florida. That actually is probably number one.
I would think that too because of weather, because then you can practice and play all year round, you know, at least get your playing in to be able to be better. So yeah, that kind of makes sense too.
So I will say the study analyzed over 2,800 player profiles from ESPN and spotlighted Illinois as a consistent pipeline to elite athletes. Okay, so now we're seeing
here we go.
While not topping the list like Texas and Florida. Texas, obviously, that's a huge one. Illinois holds a solid place among states with deep roots in football culture and high-level player development.
All right, I don't like this. Illinois ranks 8th in the nation for social media addiction. Can you believe that? Actually, I can because so I don't know if you guys know this that are watching, but we're right off of Michigan and Lake, and people are walking with their phones, and they don't even look up.
Headphones in.
You're not.
I'm like, you guys are going to get hit by a car.
It's crazy. What are you doing? I'm guessing they're on social media. So with 128,255 searches per 100,000 residents, primarily for terms like login access, verification, and platform-specific features, Illinois residents are increasingly engaged with online platforms. Give it a rest.
Okay, if you're
go on a spiritual journey, give it a rest.
If you're doing a shift on like social media, what are you doing on there unless you're building a business or like, you know, you own a business and your job is to mostly build social media?
Yeah, kind of like ours.
But I've had a couple friends where we've looked at their social media
How many times they've been on? Yeah, how long?
One of my friends had 7 hours. What was she she was sick. Okay, so she was sick, so she had a lot of time on her hands that week. But
that's
still,
a lot.
7 hours, that's a whole shift.
That is a whole shift, and we have another shift too tomorrow, right here on Chicago Now. When you can tune in again, we'll have the show all week long, so make sure you watch us tomorrow, starting up at 11 a.m. Have a great day.
See ya.
Live from Chicago, this is Fox 32 News at Noon.
And now at noon, we're following developments after a horrible crash on I-80 involving 2 semis. We'll have the latest on injuries. The party is over in Grant Park. We're going to take a look at the Lollapalooza cleanup and another hazy day of air quality concerns. Caitlin will have our forecast that includes another big warm-up towards the end of the week. Good afternoon. I'm Dane Placco in for Brian and Sylvia. Let's give you a live look outside right now. Another one of those days where we're sure we have blue skies, but they're just kind of milky and hazy. Caitlin, is this smoke ever going to move out of here?
Yes, it will. But unfortunately, Dane, as you just said, we have that hazy appearance to the sky because the smoke is still in the atmosphere, especially in northwest Indiana. I'll show you our air quality alert in a moment. First, though, talking about temperatures, it's actually quite comfortable. 78 degrees outside right now with an east-northeast breeze at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Looking at our satellite radar, you can see how lovely it is outside of that smoke. It's quiet. Now, there is a small chance for an isolated shower or maybe even a rumble of thunder, especially south of Chicago this afternoon. But our air quality alert, this has been updated since this morning, where now Lake Porter, Jasper, Newton counties included in this air quality watch until 12:30 tonight because of the smoke. Temperatures outside, though, are ranging in the upper 70s and low 80s, so it is quite comfortable. From 78 degrees at the lakefront to 80 at Midway and Chicago Heights, 82 in Gary, 79 in Valpo, 78 at LaSalle. Temperatures are going to be reaching where we should be this afternoon for the most part, 83, 84 degrees as our high. Looking at our day planner, though, you can see we continue with the hazy conditions all the way through the afternoon and this evening. Now, we have that small chance for a little bit of wet weather, as mentioned, especially south of Chicago today. Tomorrow, we're looking dry, sunshine, and 85, then back to 87 degrees on Wednesday. So you heard Dane tease off the top of the show the warm-up that's coming. That's for the end of the week. The low 90s are going to return. And then this weekend, that's when we finally get
in on that better chance for some wet weather. I'll show you that on your extended forecast ahead.
Thank you, Caitlin. Developing at this noon hour, Illinois State Police investigating a crash on I-80 this morning. This happened near Route 47 in Grundy County. Police say 2 semi-trucks were involved in the crash, which happened around 5:15 this morning. One person was taken to Morris Hospital and then moved to Loyola Hospital's Trauma Center. Their injuries are considered to be life-threatening. Cleanup is underway in Grant Park now that Lollapalooza is over. Garbage haulers were there early this morning, taking out the trash, and soon the real work begins. Dismantling stage is intense, replacing all the grass that gets chewed up every year. The festival hosts hundreds of artists and drew massive crowds again this year. The city estimating 115,000 people were at the fest every single day this weekend, the 4-day weekend. This year saw better weather and some say better behavior as well.
So I've been downtown for about 8 years in the same place, so I've seen a lot of Lollapaloozas. This one, it didn't seem as crowded, I felt, at least from a resident perspective. Previous years, it seemed a little bit crazy. I think with the weather this year, though, being so perfect, I think the crowds were a little bit out and about more. But for the most part, it kind of aligned with the past Lollas we've seen.
This year's big headliners were Sabrina Carpenter and A$AP Rocky. Jake Hamilton will have more on those performers coming up at 12:15. Right now, police are looking for a suspect connected to a shooting in Logan Square that left 2 people wounded. This is a look at the suspect. Police say the attack happened on Friday afternoon at 4:52 p.m. in the 2000 block of North St. Louis Avenue, The suspect allegedly shot in the direction of 2 people, hitting them before running down a Dickens Avenue alley. Now, he is described as being in his late teens to early 20s and was seen wearing a Chrome Hearts Rolling Stones hoodie with the blue tongue logo on the back. Now, if you've seen this suspect, Chicago police want you to give them a call. You can also submit an anonymous tip online. Dozens of state Democrats from Texas took a trip to Illinois to block a congressional redistricting vote. Republican state legislators are trying to pass a new congressional map that could create up to 5 new GOP seats. The Texas Democrats want to unite Democratic legislators around the country to block Texas's redistricting. And they were joined by Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker, who believes the redistricting proposal in Texas is wrong.
Let's be clear, this is not just rigging the system in Texas. It's about rigging the system against the rights of all Americans for years to come. Texas Democrats were left no choice but to leave their home state, block a vote from taking place, and protect their constituents.
And Governor Pritzker has suggested that Illinois would redraw its own congressional maps to Democratic advantage if Texas redraws its map. A news alert now. Boeing workers responsible for building fighter jets are on strike. 3,200 employees at Boeing facilities voted to reject a modified 4-year labor agreement with that company. Now, prior to the vote, workers rejected an offer that would increase wages 20% over 4 years. A Boeing Midwest union leader says workers deserve a contract that matches their expertise and helps keep their families secure. Towns across America are getting ready to take a stand against violence for this year's National Night Out. As August gets underway, police officers in hundreds of cities and towns across the country are getting ready to participate in that annual event. Among them is the Naperville Police Department. And we spoke this morning with Police Chief Jason Aris and Deputy Chief Chad Bissiger about how they are preparing.
Because most of the time, when folks call the police, they're having one of the worst moments of their life. We don't get called generally for the good things. So this is an excellent opportunity for people to interact with us, learn more about the police department, why we do what we do, and how we're there to help them. And it's a good moment, right? It's a happy moment. So they get to see that we're like everybody else.
And here's a look at the festivities in Naperville planned for tonight. It all starts at 6:30 p.m. at the Fry Family YMCA. More news here on Fox 32 News at noon, including the submarine showdown. China responds to President Trump's naval deployment. Remembering an 80s icon, Hollywood mourns the death of Lonnie Anderson. And She Stole the Show will relive last night's Lolla closing act from Sabrina Carpenter. Stay with us. The entertainment world is saying goodbye to actress Lonnie Anderson. Her longtime publicist says Anderson died Sunday at a hospital in Los Angeles after a long illness, just days before what would have been her 80th birthday. Now, over her career, she picked up 2 Emmy nominations and 3 Golden Globe nods. She was best known, of course, for playing Jennifer Marlowe on the classic sitcom WKRP in Cincinnati, which ran on CBS from 1978 to 1982. And she also appeared in the film Stroker Ace, where she met Burt Reynolds. The two later married and had a son together. Russia has until Friday to reach a ceasefire agreement with Ukraine before the U.S. takes